I want to show you a photograph. 10 feet tall, painted in pink and blue and yellow polka dots. You could see it from the other side of the square. Now look where I'm looking, not at it. That photograph is the most accurate picture of a stalled career I have ever seen. Because there is something standing right beside you at work. It's enormous, it's obvious. Your manager can see it, your colleagues can see it, your partner has probably mentioned it at home more than once. And you have trained yourself to look the other way. I spent 44 years in financial services. I started as a junior life assurance clerk and I finished as head of operations. And the single biggest thing separating the people who moved from the people who stalled was never talent. It was this. The ones who stalled had an elephant, and they had quietly decided to live with it. So here's what I'm going to do in the next 12 minutes. I'm going to name 4 elephants. You'll know which one is yours inside of 3 minutes. I promise you that. You'll feel it. Then for each one, I'm going to give you 3 things. Why you've been avoiding it, what it's actually costing you, and the exact words to raise it. Not the theory, the sentence. The one you could use tomorrow morning. And stay with me to the end, because the 4th elephant is the one nobody sees coming. It doesn't feel like a problem at all. That's exactly why it's the one that ends careers quietly. So, why do we stand beside the elephant? Now I want to be fair to you before we start, because this is not a character flaw. Ignoring the elephant feels like the sensible option. It genuinely does. If you don't raise it, nothing bad happens today. No awkward conversation, no risk of looking difficult, no chance of hearing an answer you don't want to hear. So you tell yourself you'll deal with it after the project finishes, after the restructure settles, after the new manager beds in. And on the surface that sounds sensible. But here's what actually happens over time. The elephant doesn't leave. It gets bigger and it gets more expensive. Because every year you don't have that conversation is a year of decisions made without your input. Your salary gets benchmarked against where you are. Your reputation quietly settles into whatever people have assumed about you. So avoiding the conversation isn't neutral, it's a decision. It's just a decision you never have to say out loud. All right, let's name them. Elephant 1, the promotion you have never actually asked for. You've wanted it for years, and you have never once said the words. Well, you've hinted, you've stayed late, you've taken the extra project and assumed somebody would join the dots. Well, nobody joined the dots. Nobody ever does. So why do we avoid it? Because asking out loud makes it real. Right now, you can tell yourself you might get it. The moment you ask, you might be told no. And then you have to sit with that. So, hinting feels safer. It isn't safer, it's just quieter. What is it actually costing you? Your manager is not sitting in their office wondering what you want. They're assuming you're content, because content is exactly what you've shown them. And here's the part that hurts. Succession conversations happen in rooms you are not in. Somebody says, who could step up into that role? And 3 names get mentioned. Yours is not one of them. Not because you're not capable, because nobody in that room knew you wanted it. So here's the fix in 3 moves. First, Take it out of your appraisal. Your review is a backwards-looking meeting about last year. This is a forward-looking conversation about the next one. So ask for it separately and say that's what it is. Second, name the role, not the feeling. Saying I'd like more responsibility gives your manager nothing to act on. Saying I want to be considered for the team lead role gives them something they can actually put your name against. Third, and this is the one that changes everything. Don't ask for the promotion. Ask for the gap. Ask what would need to be true for you to be the obvious choice. Now you're not asking them for a favour. You're asking them for a specification. Most managers find that much easier to answer, and once they've answered it, they're invested in you meeting it. Now, here are some sentences you should avoid and some you can use. So don't say, I feel like I've been overlooked here. Instead say, I'd like to talk about my goals and ambitions separately from my review. Can we put 20 minutes in the diary this week? Don't say, I'd like more responsibility at some point. Say, I want to be considered for the team lead role when it comes up next. Don't say, do you think I'll ever get promoted? Say, what would need to be true for me to be the obvious choice for that role? Now, when they push back, they will very often say, there's nothing available at the moment. Now, that is not a no. That's a timing answer, and people hear it as a rejection and go quiet for another 2 years. So here's your response. That's fine. I wasn't expecting something today. I'd still like to be ready when it does come up. What would you want to see from me between now and then? Then do 2 things. Send a short email after the meeting summarising what you agreed so it exists in writing. Then put a note in your diary for 90 days to follow up. An elephant with a date on it is just an agenda item. Now, that one is the most common, but the next one is the most expensive, and I would guess most of you watching have never done it properly even once. Elephant 2, the money you have never put a number on. You suspect you're underpaid. You may even know it. And you have never once put a number in a room. So why are you avoiding it? Because it feels greedy. It feels like you're making the relationship transactional. You like your manager and you don't want to be that person. I understand that completely. I felt it myself for years. But you're not being greedy. You're being accurate. And nobody has ever been accused of being difficult for asking a calm, well-prepared question about how their pay is set. So what is it actually costing you? Well, this is the one where the math is brutal. So let me be specific. Pay rises are almost always a percentage. So every rise you get for the rest of your time in that company is a percentage of a number that started too low. The gap doesn't stay the same, it actually widens every single year. Your pension contribution is a percentage of that number too. And so is the next employer's offer, because the first thing they'll ask is what you're on now. Being underpaid isn't a problem you have today. It's a problem you keep buying once a year quietly. So here's the fix in 3 moves. First, separate pay from performance. Now this is the mistake almost everybody makes. They go in and argue that they work hard. Now, your manager already knows you work hard. Pay is not a reward for effort. Pay is the market rate for a role, and that's a much easier conversation to have without emotion. Second, bring a number and bring a source, not "I think I'm underpaid." A range and where you got it. It could be recruitment salary surveys, industry bodies, live job adverts for the same role. 10 minutes of work and it moves you from complaining to informed. Third, ask about the mechanism and not the favour. "Can I have more money?" puts your manager in the position of judge. "How is this set and what moves it?" puts them beside you explaining a system. You will get far more honest information that way, and honest information is what you actually need. So here are some sentences you should avoid and some you can actually use. So don't say, "I think I'm underpaid." Say, "I've looked at what this role pays in the market and I'd like to understand how mine is set." Don't say, "Everyone else seems to be on more than me." Instead say, "I'm seeing a range of X thousand to Y thousand for this role externally. Can you help me understand where I sit against that and why?" Don't say, "Can I have a raise?" Say, "What would need to change for my salary to be moved into that range? And when is the right point in the cycle to have that conversation?" When they push back, you'll hear there's no budget, and that's almost guaranteed. Again, that's a timing answer, not a refusal. Budgets are set on a calendar, and the people who get looked after are the ones whose names were already in the room before the calendar came round. You can respond with something like this. "I understand there's nothing in the cycle. When is next year's budget set, and what would you need from me before that conversation?" And that question does something quietly powerful. It puts you on the agenda for a meeting you're not even in. Right. Number 3. This is the one that makes people genuinely angry. And anger is exactly what gets it wrong. So watch how we handle this one. Elephant 3. The person taking credit for your work. This is the loudest elephant of the 4, and it's the one people avoid hardest. So why do we avoid it? Because raising it feels like an accusation. And the moment it becomes an accusation, you're the difficult one, not them. There's something else too. You'd rather be seen as generous than petty. So you say nothing, and you tell yourself the work speaks for itself. The work does not speak for itself. The work has no voice. People do. What is it actually costing you? Every quarter your work walks into a meeting under somebody else's name. And the compounding here is worse than the money. Reputation is built by repetition. If your contribution is credited to someone else 4 times, that person is now known for capability that is actually yours. They will be asked to do it again. You will not. 3 years of that isn't an annoyance. That's a promotion that went to somewhere else. So here's the fix in 3 moves. And this is where almost everyone goes wrong, so listen carefully. First, never relitigate the meeting that already happened. Never. The moment you say, "That was my analysis you presented," you're asking someone to admit fault in front of you, and they will defend themselves instead of agreeing with you. You will lose, and you'll look exactly like the person you were afraid of looking like. You must go forward, not backwards. Always. Second, make visibility structural, not personal. So don't ask for credit. Build a habit where credit can't go missing. Send the update yourself before the meeting to the people who'll be in it. 2 paragraphs, what was done, what it means, what's next. Now the record exists, and it exists in your name, and nobody had to be accused of anything. Third, when you do raise it, raise the process and not the person. You're not saying, you took my work. You're saying, let's agree how this gets credited going forward. Now, one of those is a confrontation and the other is an operating agreement. Here are some sentences you should avoid and some you can use. So don't say, you presented my work as if it was yours. Instead say, I want to make sure my contribution to that project is visible. Can we agree how it gets credited going forward? Don't say, I do all the work and you get the recognition. Instead say, for the next phase, I'd like to present the section I built. Are you happy for me to take that part of the meeting? Don't say, that's not fair, and you know it. Say, I'm not suggesting it was deliberate. I just want the record to be accurate from here on. If they get defensive, and some will, you have one job. Lower the temperature and keep going forward. So say something like, I'm not looking to go back over it. I just want us both to be clear on how it works from the next one onwards. So say that calmly, and the conversation has nowhere hostile to go. You've refused the argument and kept the outcome. And now the last one, and this is the quiet one. Stay with me for this, because this is the one that catches good, capable, well-liked people completely off guard. Elephant 4, the job you've quietly outgrown. You're good at it, you're safe in it. You could do it in your sleep, and some weeks you very nearly do. So why are you avoiding it? Because comfort doesn't feel like a problem. It feels like stability. Nobody wakes up alarmed about being good at their job. And you're respected there. You're the person who knows how everything works. Now that's a genuinely nice place to stand. What is it actually costing you? Well, here's the uncomfortable truth I'd want somebody to tell me. Your salary keeps rising slowly. Your skills stopped rising a while ago. Now that combination has a name inside organizations. It's the profile that gets looked at first in a restructure. Because you're expensive relative to what you're currently learning and currently producing. Being comfortable and being valuable are not the same thing. They can look identical for years, right up until the week they don't. So here's the fix in 3 moves. First, run the audit. 1 question. When did you last do something at work that you didn't already know how to do? If you have to think back more than 6 months, that's your answer. And now you know. Second, ask for the hard thing rather than the new title. A title is something they have to find for you. A difficult project is something they are desperate to give away. Now, one of those requests is easy to say yes to this week. Third, and this is where the visibility lives, volunteer for the problem nobody wants. Like every organization has one of these messy processes. The system migration, the client nobody can handle. Those problems are avoided by everyone, which means the person who takes one on becomes visible immediately and stays visible. That's not extra work for its own sake. That's the fastest route from competent to indispensable I know. So here are some sentences you should avoid and some you can use. So don't say, I'm bored in this role. Say, I've got capacity for something harder. What's coming up that you'd struggle to staff? Don't say, I need a new challenge. Say, I'd like to take on a piece nobody has time for. Can I own the process review? Don't say, I've been doing the same thing for years. Say, I want to stretch this year. What's the most difficult thing on your list that I could take off you? Now I want to be straight with you here because this is the one where I'd be doing you a disservice if I wasn't. Sometimes you ask those questions and the answer is that the growth genuinely isn't there. The organisation is flat. The roles above you aren't moving. Now, if that's the answer, that is still enormously useful because you've just replaced a vague feeling with a fact, and a fact you can plan around. So the elephant was never the job. The elephant was not knowing and not asking. The one rule that covers all four. Go back and read every sentence I've given you today, and you'll find the same three things in all of them. None of them is a complaint. Everyone is a request. Everyone is specific, so it can actually be acted on. And everyone is easy to say yes to, which is the part most people miss entirely. Your job is not to win the conversation. Your job is to make agreeing with you the path of least resistance. And that's the whole difference between raising an elephant and throwing one across the table. And here's the practical version of it. Ask for 20 minutes, not a meeting about your future. 20 minutes on a Thursday. Because the moment it's in a diary, it stops being 10-foot creature you're pretending not to see, and it becomes an ordinary item on an agenda. Something with a date on it, something that can move. And before I finish, I want to leave you with the thing I wish someone had told me at 30. The elephant is not your problem. Standing beside it is. Your career shouldn't depend on what you're willing to tolerate. It should be built on what you're willing to say. So here's what I'd like you to do right now before you click away. Go back through the four, pick yours, put the number on the comments 1, 2, 3 or 4 and tell me the sentence you're going to use. Now I read all the comments and if the wording isn't right yet, I'll help you fix it. If this was useful, hit the thumbs up, share and subscribe because I put out a video like this every week. And if you want the full framework for getting recognised and promoted, my free masterclass is linked in the description below. I'll see you in the next one.